averaging, again, I get it. If you're averaging 20 points a game, you're maybe giving out 5 assists. That sounds like a great deal. But for a player that's only averaging 13, you're giving him max deals? I don't get it, but that's what the market dictates. You go through Atlanta, and they're in a rebuilding mode. They've traded away all their pieces. Dwight Howard's gone. It just doesn't seem that they're going to be. They're in rebuilding mode. Milwaukee in the 6th seed. That's going to be an intriguing time for them because Giannis is going to be a free agent in the next 2 years. So it's a matter of making sure that front office is stable enough to put the pieces around him. Jason Kidd's got to be coaching him endlessly to make sure, hey, you're going to be the star of this franchise. We need to build around you, and he's a great player because if you can build, you can build around a Giannis in this era's NBA. It's just a matter of getting the right pieces. But the problem is Milwaukee is such a small market. In 2 years when his contract's up, what is he going to do? Is he going to move on, or what is he going to do? And so Milwaukee's in the same predicament that Indiana was just in terms of what are they going to do with their star player? Can they re-sign him? Can they give him a max deal now or an extension now? But we'll talk about that in a second. Chicago in the 8th seed, they're in full rebuilding mode now. In the 8th seed, so they're probably going to drop down a little bit. Miami, they look okay, just sitting outside the 8th spot. I think they're going to switch places with Chicago and get in the playoffs. And you look at all these other teams. I think one team that we're really excited about is the Philadelphia 76ers. I've been talking with Andy Sides. We had him on a podcast once, and talking about the draft picks and what this would mean and whatnot. And Philadelphia, it looks pretty good. I think after a couple of years of tanking, this team finally looks good. That I think they can make a playoff run. Honestly, with all the reshuffling that's going on, I think Atlanta's not going to make the playoffs. I don't think Chicago's going to make the playoffs. I don't think Miami necessarily has gotten any better. Those are the 3 spots that are probably going to be open in the Eastern Conference. And to think Philadelphia, who's only got 28 wins last season, but again, showed signs of improvement. No Ben Simmons last season, but they're going to get him back this season. You have Markelle Fultz, who we saw opening night in the preseason. In the preseason, that he can score. You look at Dario Saric, what he can do, and if Joel Embiid is healthy, again, and that's a big if, because again, that's just been the biggest question. Can you stay healthy? If everyone is healthy for a full 82-game season, or maybe not even that, I'd say 70 games. I'd say if all players average at least 70 games for the season, based off their potential, and based off the reshuffling of the Eastern Conference with superstars going to the West, there should be no problem why the 76ers shouldn't be the 5 seed or higher. I think their ceiling could be the 3 seed. And that's absolutely insane to think about. But look, no one's going to top Boston and Cleveland. I think those are established teams. Are going to be fighting it out for the Eastern Conference in the playoffs. But I think with the 76ers have done, on top of adding veteran players that can guide these young players, like a J.J. Redick, who got a 1-year, $23 million deal. I'd sign that in a heartbeat, too, for half that. You add some shooting on that team. And this 76ers roster, I say, has a lot of potential. I really do. The Knicks are in disarray. And here's the thing about tanking. That's hilarious. Not every team is going to be as lucky as the 76ers. The Magic have been tanking for years, and look where they are right now. Brooklyn's just been in a free fall since that horrific trade with the Celtics, who have, again, a couple years ago, it looked like it just, why Boston, why do that? But a couple years down the line, Danny Ainge looks like a genius with that trade. And again, as we mentioned with the Knicks, they're always in disarray right now. Phil Jackson's gone. Again, which it means that I think that Porzingis is going to stay in New York along with Melo, although there are talks about a buyout there. So if I'm going to rank them right now, Eastern Conference to 1 through 8, right as it stands right now, I'm going to put Boston at 1. I think Cleveland's going to still not really care about the regular season. They just, as long as they are healthy and can make it to the postseason as a number 2 seed, I think they'll be fine. I'm gonna keep Toronto 3. I'm still okay with Toronto there. I'm putting Philadelphia 4 right now, just because it's a big if, but I think their potential is huge, and they're going to be surprising to a lot of teams. They're going to be competitive with teams, including in the Western Conference, in some games this season, and it'll be fun to watch. I'm going to put Washington 5. Keep Milwaukee at 6, no problem. And then from there, you can kind of sprinkle it as you wish. You could probably put Miami at 7, and let's just put Charlotte at 8, just because they got Dwight Howard, and we'll see how that turns out. Move on to the West, and the wild, wild West, as it is. Golden State's going to be number 1. It seems that's pretty obvious. That's no question about it. From there, you're looking at a lot of shuffling, because LA, you lost Chris Paul, but you re-signed Blake Griffin, and you have DeAndre on the books, so that's fine. What's interesting for LA, and again, we're just shuffling through these all these free agent signings. Milos Teodosic, the best player, the best point guard, international point guard, so non-NBA. He's 30 years old, about 6'5", $190. So he's a pretty tall point guard. Last year in the Olympics, Serbia almost upset the United States in the Olympics, and people were wondering, who is this flashy point guard that's doing all these things that are pretty good? And Patrick Beverley, who just got traded in that Chris Paul deal from Houston to LA, played with Teodosic in Europe, and has said he's the best passer in the NBA right now, which brings some excitement to LA, even though losing Chris Paul is a huge deal. I think that there is some potential there with Teodosic. I think just some new blood in there at that point guard position may be a good fit for LA. And then you're looking at Oklahoma City. They just got some talent. Memphis is probably not going to make the playoffs this season. Portland, we'll see. They've been up and down. Utah probably is going to be fighting for a playoff spot as well. And again, you're going to probably move Minnesota into the playoffs. But look at who they have to jump. They have to jump Sacramento, who I also think has made good moves as well. Dallas, they're probably not making the playoffs, but they're doing everything they can for Dirk in his final couple seasons, who, by the way, he's matching when he suits up this upcoming NBA season. Him and Kobe are the only 2 players in NBA history to play for the same team for 20 seasons. You just don't see that anymore. And so that's pretty awesome for Dallas, at least in that, right? Dirk going out the way Kobe should. And I think rightfully so. I think those are the 2 of the 10 greatest players of all time, or 15. I think Dirk's the best international player, no question. Where do you want to rank him all time? It's up for debate. But let's talk about each team and kind of go through the West. Golden State, they re-signed Durant. They re-signed Curry. Obviously, it's the max deal. They got some other talent. Nick Young got a one-year, $5.2 million deal. So, again, it just boosts their roster a little bit more. From Golden State, I think they'll be fine. With San Antonio, they did lose some pieces. David Lee did not want to re-sign or opted out of his player options, so we'll see what that market is going to be for him. San Antonio, I think, will still potentially be the 2 or 3 seed. You can flip that with Houston. Houston, you have a lot of potential with what that backcourt's going to be like with Chris Paul and James Harden. It seemed that this past season, Houston unlocked James Harden when you added Mike D'Antoni to this type of offense, because they were already a three-point shooting team, but making Harden the de facto point guard, as he already was, but combining him with D'Antoni's tactics, it was him and Harden. It was Harden and Westbrook all triple-doubles all season and racing for the MVP. And if it wasn't honestly for the triple-double season that Westbrook came up with, or that was just amazing to watch, I think Harden would have been MVP. I think there's no question Harden would have been MVP of this season. And then you look down further, LA, I think they are going to drop a couple spots. They lost JJ Redick. They lost Jamal Crawford, Chris Paul, of course. So I think they're going to slip a couple of spots here. who you put in that 4 spot? I think Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City got better by adding Paul George. There's no question about that. I think that team can compete. It's just a matter of Steven Adams playing better this season. Now, last season wasn't that great for him. He needs to play much better. And I think he will, considering that you add a Paul George to this roster. It's going to help out tremendously for them. So I'm going to put Golden State, San Antonio, Houston. You can flip either or 2 and 3. Oklahoma City at number 4. At number 5, you're probably looking at the Minnesota Timberwolves. As I mentioned, it's crazy to think about that, right? But you add Jimmy Butler, you add Jeff Teague to this nucleus of Andrew Wiggins and Karl-Anthony Towns who have so much potential. They look good. They look poised, and you add a coach like Tom Thibodeau that knows Butler very well from his days in Chicago. Teague is a fantastic point guard. They're going to be really good. So put them in the 5 spot. At 6, I'm going to put Utah in there. It's kind of sounds crazy to think about that, but I think Utah will be okay. Even without losing Hayward, they still have some pieces around there. Rudy Gobert is still pretty good. You have a veteran talent there. They'll be fine, even though they did lose their superstar player for the last couple of seasons. So put Utah at 6. At 7, you're probably putting Portland in there just because Memphis, they lost too many pieces. Vince Carter, Zebo, and Marc Gasol is potentially on the way out as well. So it looks like Memphis is in full rebuild mode as well. So put Portland at 7. And at 8, let's just put the Pelicans in there just because I'd like to see them make the playoffs. Jrue Holiday re-signed for the max deal, as he should. You have a full season with Holiday, with Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins in New Orleans. Again, it's not a league that's built necessarily around big men, but these 2 Twin Towers essentially have to be very efficient in order for them to offset the 3-point shooting. They're going to have to slow the game down a little bit, and Jrue Holiday can do that. Again, he's a veteran and has been in this league for quite some time. So I would put New Orleans at 8 spots. So again, Golden State 1, San Antonio and Houston, you can flip 2 or 3. We'll see how that goes. Number 4, you're going to put Oklahoma City. Number 5, Minnesota. Number 6, you're putting Utah. Again, I don't think they lost a superstar, but it's still, you can make up the scoring, and that's in that tough Western Conference. At 7, you're going to put Portland. I just think just by default, them and Memphis is not making the playoffs. And at 8, New Orleans, based off, you have so much talent there, you just simply cannot not make the playoffs with that talent. So we're going to take a short break, and wow, we've been 28 minutes into the podcast. Pretty impressive without a break. We'll go back to more free agency, what the Gordon Hayward situation was, and some NFL players complaining about what's the deal here. Why are we getting the short end of the stick? And when it comes down to it, guys, it's just basic math. It really is just basic math, and I'm going to explain that because people apparently don't know how to do basic math. So, before that, we got some music here. Changing Me, Bobby Green, Sean Michael Murray on the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Cerrone on Spreaker Radio.